Good evening and welcome to another Come On You Spurs podcast. We're back. Unfortunately, we missed the Brighton game. I think everyone had some work commitments, bank holiday weekend and everything, but we are back. And what a difference 2 games can make in the life of a Spurs fan. So before we get into that, let's just do some intros. So as you can see, we've got the full house again this evening. So we'll start introducing them. Ryan, how have you been, mate? How's this last week or so been and felt as a Spurs fan?
Oh, we've felt them before, Carl. We know how these feel. We've had them before. It's no new, but I will blame myself. I've missed the last 2 weeks of these shows, and we haven't won since I've been gone. So I'm hoping now that I've come back, we'll get started.
I'll tell you, if that works, mate, you will never be missing another show again because we'll take it on the road and we'll be with you wherever you go on holiday after this. I can promise you that, mate. Joining Ryan, as usual, is Patrick. Patrick, how have you been, mate, after these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good, and I'll send it to you guys backstage. I feel good. Obviously, the team hasn't lived up to the heights and expectations, but we'll touch on that. But all in all, I'm good. I'm healthy. I'm in good spirits, and I'm just hoping that we can obviously step up to the mark and do what we need to do going forward.
That's it, mate. And joining Patrick and Ryan is Jacob. How have you been, Jacob, these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I've been all right. Like, I think I'll mirror what Ryan says. I said it to my cousin the other day because for the last couple of weeks I haven't been online either. We're starting a new job and Ryan being on holiday, and then we had to cancel the last show. And ever since then, we've just been crap. So I'm hoping that I've got the same magic as well.
Oh, we'll be following you boys around. I'll tell you now, we'll be getting bikes to kind of courier us to wherever you two are in future. So, as always, let's do some social media links. As you can see, the guys have got their Twitter handles on the screen. So, as I always say, get over there, give these guys a follow. Always knocking out some brilliant Spurs stuff. As usual, give the COYS.com account a follow on YouTube and on Twitter at COYS_.com. So let's get into it. So obviously we held all the cards at one point, didn't we? Arsenal went on a barren run. We were picking up wins. We looked in the driving seat. All of a sudden, 2 games, that picture has spun around and changed, and Arsenal will now feel they're in the driving seat. Let's just touch upon what do we think has happened in these last 2 games? I mean, is it a mixture of things of pressure? Is it a mixture of things of just certain players? I mean, we can talk about Kane hasn't. Is it Kane? Is it Son? Why do we feel in these last 2 games, obviously given the magnitude of those 2 games as well, and when we look at the Brighton game, that was a real missed opportunity, we thought, wasn't it, with Arsenal playing Chelsea? We thought, right, a win here. Chelsea beat Arsenal, and now we're really in the driving seat. What do we put these 2 lackluster performances down to, given what has been on the line? Patrick, where do you stand with that? How has it been so flat, given the magnitude of those games?
I think you touched on it, Carl. One of the points is pressure. Pressure does funny things to the best of teams and the best of players. And, they say pressure busts pipes and creates diamonds. And you either see the good or the bad side of somebody when there's pressure. Like somebody as Benzema, everyone knows he's a brilliant striker. This year, in pressure situations, as they call it, clutch in America, he's been Mr. Clutch. He's coming up with clutch goals. You see certain players, like even someone like Kai Havertz. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he scored some clutch goals for Chelsea when it matters. There's someone like Divock Origi. He's a decent striker on his day, but he scores clutch goals in clutch moments. And we don't seem to have somebody that will... I mean, we've got brilliant strikers, Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, regardless if they go 2 or 3 games without a goal or assist. They're world-class players. Everyone will agree to that. But in clutch moments, when you need to drag a game by the scruff of its neck, you don't really see any of them guys doing it at the moment. And I don't understand. Well, I do understand, but also at the same time, I don't understand. It is a shame because it's I think there's a number of factors. Son and Kane haven't been at it, but if we take it back, Son and Kane are only 2 parts of the system. They're only 2 cogs in a massive wheel. I think Antonio Conte, fantastic manager. I'm not one of these idiots that are straight away screaming to get him out and all of this nonsense after 2 bad games. And to be fair, one bad game. I know we weren't great in the last game, but a 0-0 draw is not the end of the world in most circumstances. So it's not, it's not meltdown stations for me like a lot of people are going through. But when you look at Antonio Conte, he needs to be a bit more flexible considering the opponents he has at his disposal, or components he has at his disposal right now. This isn't really his team. He's got rid of got a few in, but he has to work with what he's got. Emerson Royale is probably, I've backed this guy and backed him, but after last week's performance, I was like, you know what, I can't even back you no more. We're 0-0 down. It's in injury time. We've got an attack. We're on momentum, we're building, and you just go and pass the ball out of bounds. You pass it behind Davinson Sanchez. And the thing is, he made Davinson Sanchez look bad, and people got onto Sanchez. That wasn't Sanchez's fault. Sanchez is a quick player. There's no way he's retrieving that ball. And it's just stuff like that. Every time the ball goes to the right side, nothing materializes from it. The ball goes back. He tries a crap flick. He's got no confidence to beat a man. He can't whip in across. So literally that right-hand side of our attack is now defunct or devoid or MIA, non-existent. When Doherty was there, he would run at a player, he would beat a player, he'd whip a crossing, he would actually make a run behind his player and get in. Hence, you're scoring backyard, backstick headers and tapping in goals and making stuff. Emerson Royale doesn't do any of that. So we've literally got one half of the side with wing backs, which is Conte's one of his main pieces. There's nothing going on there. You can even see the guys that want to pass to Royale because they know nothing's going to happen there. So that's a problem. And then also just lack of creativity, really. As good as I think Bentancur is, I think Højbjerg has been horrible, if I'm being honest. When it comes to an attacking actual output, he's been awful. He keeps giving the ball away and screaming at other players, but he's the actual fault. And he's our main component. And it's just a lot of stuff, man. It's just, I could go on all day, but, without trying to be critical, because I do like Højbjerg. And I like Royale as a guy. He seems like a good guy. He seems like a nice guy. But if we're being honest, I want Højbjerg and Emerson Royale replaced in the summer. If we want to win things, even if we don't finish fourth and we finish fifth, if we get the team that we know we can get and we get Conte there, I'm more than okay for next season. But these issues have got to be addressed. We've seen these guys far too often in crucial moments of a game just give the ball away or just do something ridiculous with no pressure. No one was pressuring Emerson Royale, and he passed the ball behind Sanchez, goes out of bounds. No one's pressuring Højbjerg, and most of the time, then he just can't even deliver a simple pass. So those are things for me that really, as much as people want to get onto Kane and Son because they're the main guys, when we can't even build up a passage of play, or we can't even string a few passes together, how are they going to get the ball anyway? So, yeah, that's kind of where I sit at the moment with it.
Yeah, Ryan, do you think it's mainly the pressure side of things that suddenly kicked in? Like I say, all of a sudden, you've got this Brighton game. And it could be fair to say, I think we all went into this maybe overly confident, didn't we? Thinking, right, it's Brighton at home. They've been pretty poor. This is now our chance. We win this one, and Arsenal lose in the week. And, we'll come on to that game in a minute, that Arsenal-Chelsea game. But everyone's suddenly already 3 games ahead of themselves, aren't they? Thinking, right, we're going to win this. Arsenal are going to lose. Suddenly that's top 4 in our hands massively. Arsenal could be out of it. Do you think suddenly the pressure kicks in then of, actually, we need to get this result today, given everything on the line? Do you think it Spurs revert into that type of not being able to handle pressure in pressure moments?
I think it's a lot of things with Tottenham. Like I say, I think we got a bit complacent with Brighton, especially. I think we went into that game, like I say, as fans ourselves, we're going into that game very confident, which we should be. With fans of the club, we expect the team to win that. I think the biggest problem we had was a majority of the players probably went into that game themselves feeling like, we'll just turn up, couple of goals, get this game out of the way. But we say so many times, this is the best league in the world. You don't get easy game unless you're, like I say, we'll get into someone who gets easy games at the minute, but you don't really usually get easy games in the Premier League. It's a tough game.
And we'd had the warning the week before, didn't we, when they went to the Emirates and got a result.
Yeah, like I said, Brighton are a good team. They just can't finish, but they only needed 1 goal to beat us on that day because we didn't look like we could finish if we'd played for 2 straight days in that game. it's like I say, the pressure does get to the lads. You can tell sometimes if Kane and Son don't get the ball quite early, and I hate to agree sometimes with Paul Mercer because I think he talks a load of shit. But if he said a few weeks ago that if Harry Kane doesn't turn up, then Tottenham don't turn up. It does feel like that at the minute because he's not turned up over the past couple of weeks. But these players are old enough, ugly enough, and big enough to play without Harry Kane. They've done it before. They'll eventually have to do it again. So we just got to hope that now we've seen it over this past month now. Arsenal are in control of top 4. 2 weeks after win control, now again it's back in Arsenal's hands. There's so much that can still happen with the games we've both got left to play, especially with that North London derby. But we just got to hope now that Conte actually gets into these boys now, tries to just instill a bit more belief in them that they're good enough for this. They don't matter how we play. First off, if we don't have a shot on target in the first half, it's still another 45 minutes. Don't worry about that. Get back out there, try and control the game a bit more. You're good enough, and hopefully we can take it back into our own hands. Like I say, it's up to us now. Like we're the only team. We can only blame ourselves if we don't get top 4 now.
Yeah, Jacob, I was going to bring up the whole Harry Kane, Paul Merson thing because it was interesting. And I think it was funny because in the Brighton game, I think Harry tried a shot within the first 5 minutes or so that just bobbled nowhere near. And it kind of set the tone for kind of that performance on that day. Now, a lot of people would argue and obviously say they don't agree with Paul Merson, but it's hard to not kind of look at that statement that he made and kind of go, well, yeah, when you look at the last 2 games and the games previously before that, Harry Kane turns up in those previous games and Spurs are scoring 21 goals in 6 games and he's getting assists left, right and centre. All of a sudden, he has 2 games where he doesn't really see much of the ball, doesn't have an impact on that game, and Spurs suddenly don't have a shot on target. So while we disagree, is there some truth in what Paul Merson said that if you can suddenly nullify Harry Kane, you take a lot of what Spurs can do away from him? Because the other players don't seem to be able to go, well, okay, Kane's not on it today, so I'm going to take this on myself and I'm going to be the one that wins us the game. I mean, Son, great player, great goals and assists lately, but he heavily relies on Kane's passing and his assists. Kulusevski has gone quiet in the last couple of games, hasn't really had a creative spark about him. So are we that Harry Kane side that if you stop Harry Kane, you stop Spurs?
I think it is a lot of that, but it's also, I've been saying it for weeks to people that I speak to closely, that when I look at the way we beat Leeds, Newcastle, even when the way we beat Man City, even though Harry Kane's a world-class player and does what he's doing, I've said in every game, as much as I've loved it, he's having it too easy. Like we played against Man City, you look up, you know, these teams are giving Harry Kane 2-3 seconds to pass the ball, but then he's just picking everyone off. So I always said, yeah, if you pack out a midfield against Tottenham, everybody does their job, and you play maybe a false number 9 or something like that and completely pack out that midfield, Tottenham ain't going to know what to do. And the reason why I said that was when we played United, because we played United and I was quite confident against United, but then as soon as they put Matic in, I thought that's what you're supposed to do. Put someone in there that, you know, Matic isn't even world class anymore, but just someone that knows that position and gives Harry Kane another problem to think about. And even though he scored in that game, he was very quiet. But then literally no one's watched United beat us and just thought, oh, we'll just carry on doing what we're doing. So when I looked at that Brighton lineup and they played Salcedo, the other guy, I forgot, is it Mbepu? I can't remember how to say his name, and Basuma. As soon as I saw all 3 of them and they didn't play no Mope or no Welbeck, I was like, we're going to have problems here. And literally, that's what they did. They nullified the midfield. It's to do with Kane, but it's also to do with Conte, because Conte just literally watches Kane not get anything in midfield, and instead of putting him up front, considering he's probably the best striker in the league, he just continues to leave him in midfield, and we've become a one-trick pony. Now, if you look at the way Tottenham play, if you pack out the midfield, the only option that you've got is to play out to the fullbacks. Now, if we had Liverpool's fullbacks, then we'd just beat everybody, because for me, that's the most important positions in football at the minute. But then when you've got Emerson Royal and Reguilon, who are probably our weakest links, and we're literally being forced to go out wide, that's when you don't get no shots on target, because these guys can't cross, as Pat alluded to, they can't pass. They're very weak in the tackle, so they're not going to, if they try to go down the side, they're probably going to get dominated. And you saw not only at Brighton, but at Brentford, that when it was coming out wide, that it was not worth it. So I don't think, I know it's majority to do with Kane not performing, but, Harry Kane's only human. If he's got 3 defensive midfielders around him, he's got Son standing there going, please pass to me, and he's not getting there. And then the only option Harry Kane gets when he drops deep is the fullbacks who are weakest point. Then I don't understand everyone's wondering why we're not getting any shots on target. It's, we've all been saying it on this show, on Ryan's show. We need a creative midfielder because Kane can only do this so long. But even if Kane's got this capability, he's better at scoring goals than setting them up. So just stick him up front. You know what I mean? This guy at one point everyone was talking about him catching Salah, and then all of a sudden we've kept him in centre midfield. You know what I mean? Stick him up front. And what Conte needs to learn what Klopp did the other day, because I was watching it with my cousin, and I was sitting there and I was going, you know what? If you lot stick another striker up front, yeah, everything ain't gonna know what to do, because you never really do that. I'll kid you not. 5 minutes later, he chucks on Origi and Diaz. They go 4-2-4 and didn't play that great, but within 2 minutes, Origi's presence made that difference. Salah squares it. It's a goal. Do you know what I mean? Because Everton made that difficult for them because they knew what Liverpool were going to do with the 3 up front. As soon as you make that 4 up front, you're going to get shots on target. But we don't seem to do that. It's always like for like. And I think it was the Brighton game where Kuzelewski and Son came off, and then we had Bergwijn and Moira, and we still kept the back 5. It's like, well, what are we doing? You want a shot on target and you're still keeping 5 defenders. Don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick, obviously, Conte has come in for some stick after the last couple of games around not having a plan B and changing things up. And obviously, you did see that at the weekend because, given the way that results had gone and okay, look, this is a big game now and almost becoming a must win. When it gets to, 70 minutes and you can still see it's a flat performance, do you think he is too stuck in his ways in the fact that, no, I'm keeping this system? Do you then say, we know if you look at the bench, there isn't a plethora of options that you can bring on to change the game. You're really only looking at Bergwijn and Moura that you can come on and have an attacking change. But do you think, like as Jacob said, at that point you say, well, I'm going to stick Moura up top or Bergwijn up top with Kane, and we're going to change the system slightly, go 4-4-2, just change it. Is Conte too stuck in his ways?
Yeah, he is. And I said it before, but obviously now we can dig into it and delve a bit deeper into this subject, because for me, I know world-class managers, they believe in their source. They believe that they know that they're good. And obviously more often than not, they get it right. Hence why they are where they are. And I get that. But like you said, Carl, we only have Lucas Moura and Stevie Bergwijn on the bench that can potentially come in and do something. And if we're being real, both aren't great options. Yeah, they may have good games for their club or country now and again, but they're not great. They're not great when you actually need to change something up, get a goal, or, just make a difference. But like Jacob said, switch up, man. Change the formation. I mean, we're 0-0 down. It's a flat game. No team looks like scoring. And you bring on Davinson Sanchez in the 70th minute as your first sub. Like, what the hell's going on? What are we doing there? Why are we bringing on Davinson Sanchez? What difference is he going to make? It just made no sense to me. It's not like we were getting pegged back. We're under the cosh, so we're bringing in an extra defender. The game was quite flat. No one looked like scoring. So why don't we go all out and bring on an attacker? We've got nothing to lose. If we lose, so be it. But to just go out on a whimper again is poor, man. And Conte does deserve to be criticised. I'm not one of these idiots that are now saying Conte out, Conte needs. That's ridiculous. But also at the same time, you are the coach. It's your tactics. You live and die by the sword. So when we don't have a good game and there's no creativity, no spark, and it's not the first game, it's the second game that has happened, of course, questions need to be asked. Obviously, like Ryan saying, we play with a back 5 or 2 attacking flying fullbacks, and our fullbacks aren't good enough. Reguilón flattered to deceive us last year. He looked good in moments. It was his first full season, so we obviously gave him a bit of a leeway. But now, if we're being real, the guy's at 25, 26. He's been there for 2 years. He's not good enough, man. He needs to go. And I called this a long time ago, as you guys remember. I said I wanted him out. Now we're seeing him week in and week out. He's not good enough. Sessegnon, the jury's still out. Still a bit too early for me to really put the knife in. But so far, again, I'm not that convinced either, if I'm being real. I just think with Emerson Royale, he's just not good enough. Nice lad, seems like a good guy, but if we're being honest, he's not going to take the club forward. So Conte knows this. He's not an idiot. He knows how good these guys are or ain't. So change it up, man. Even put Lucas Moura at right wing back. I don't understand why not. Basically, he's covering for Emerson Royale anyway. Or when Emerson Royale's playing, more often than not, it's Romero that's actually doing the dirty work for him. So Romero's having to be pulled left and right and left because he's actually covering for Royale. Royale was getting skinned, and if it wasn't for
Romero in that second half.
Yeah, Romero in that thing, we would have been 1-0 down. So change it up. Lucas Moura has worked hard under Jose going back and forth. Let him try it. What have we got to lose right now? We need something out of, because otherwise, two games with no shots on target, no creativity. We didn't even look like scoring. That is a concern. We've got the players. The reason why I'm not going crazy is because I know on our day we can score is with the best of them. But if you're not making opportunities, you ain't going to score.
Yeah, Ryan, like I say, this was a side that, as I say, again, scored 21 goals in 6 games to no shots. It's not as simple as, it can't just be down to that Doherty injury and one player coming out has made a big difference, is it? This Conte has got to find a way, hasn't he? When things are not going the right way during a game with his system, a good manager has to think on the fly and have a backup. Now, as I say, yes, you haven't got a great selection of players on the bench to change it. But as Patrick said, Moura could come on, Bergwijn could come on in that right wing-back position, just as something to change it, to say, well, at least as an attacking threat, this player will be better going forward than Emerson Royal or Sessegnon. The guy's not having a good game, so let me bring Bergwijn on in that position and just something different. Let me change the formation. What is going on? What is going on for that team at the moment? Because that one injury can't have changed that whole dynamic of the way we're playing.
No, I think it's. I think we've seen it with like the likes of Brixton in the past. When players feel they've got no competition, it's not something they've got to worry about. They're not worried about them being dropped the week after. Because you look at them now. Obviously, we've got Højbjerg, Bentancur, Winks isn't competition. He's not. Hopefully, not going to be there next season. So Skip's still out, so they know they'll start again. Kane knows he's going to start every week because there's no competition. Like Emerson Royal now. I believe he's going to start every week. But like let's say, it's you've got to do change it. Like when we signed Kulusevski, he did say that Kulusevski is able to play at right wing back. So drop him at right wing back, get Lucas or Bergwijn up front with Kane out on the right, and see how you go from there. Because like Pat's already said, Romero's doing all Emerson's dirty work anyway. He's covering the main striker in the side and he's covering out on the wing. He's got double duty at the minute, so why not try something? I don't know if this is his way of in the board. This is what I've got. This is why I must be backed in the summer because it's just going to end like this anyway. Or it's just that the players just aren't good enough. If we know most of them aren't good enough, but we now need Conte as well to mix it up a bit, try different things. If there's a right wing back in the youth side who's getting rave reviews, bring him up. If you have to, if he knows the position, if you're confident, if the youth management's confident enough in him, bring him up because Emerson Royal's not doing the job. If he's not going to try anybody else, and we're going to suffer every week because teams we play now would focus on that area. They focus Emerson Royal because they know Romero's getting that position. They know Kulusevski doing a lot more defending than he wants to. He'd rather be going facing the opposition side. So now it's up to whether it's in game against Brighton, like you say, take one of the centre backs out or take Reguilon off because I agree with Pat. He's linked with a move in the small, get money, get a replacement in for what we're being offered. Put Ben Davies at left back, just keep Dyer Romero in the middle and throw Lucas or Bergwijn up there. You've just got to throw someone else. If you've got a there, if Kane feels he has to drop deeper in a game to contribute, then at least we've got an extra body up there with Son and Kulusevski. to trouble the defence. So now we need to hope that Conte actually does different. He's trying different. Obviously, we don't know what's going on in training or behind closed doors, but hopefully he's trying a few things out. And if needed, then we'll see it on Sunday against Leicester.
Yeah, Jacob, it is frustrating, isn't it? Because, like I say, we were flying, goals going in left, right, and centre, and feeling really confident. To suddenly a side that just looked devoid of confidence, devoid of any creativity. It's mad how that kind of switch has happened, isn't it? You know, that one game, and next thing you know, we look like the sort of Spurs side that we were under Nuno, where you're just going, well, we just don't look like we've got any idea of what's happening here. And that is really frustrating, especially at this point in the season now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. But, you know, I'm not saying I saw it coming where we weren't going to have two shots. We weren't going to have a shot in two games, sorry. But I could see that coaches were starting to clock on that if you stop Tottenham through the middle completely, you'll smash it. And for me, I've always said that if you play a false number 9 against any back three, they don't have anything to do. So imagine you're Romero, you're a Dyer, you're a Ben Davies, and you haven't got anything to do for a long time. You felt lost. Like I remember watching that Brighton game and Romero didn't know what to do. Sometimes you'd think, shall I go up? Shall I do this? Because he's all action. And they didn't have anybody on him. But then it got to the point where when they were attacking, there would like be three people coming, but neither of them were a striker. I think the most potent player on the pitch for them would have been Trossard, who ended up getting the winner. But I think Graham Potter smacked it. So I don't think it was so much Tottenham and the pressure. I just think, you know, they were sussed out. It's pretty simple what you do with Tottenham. What's their weakest link? Going back and forward, the fullbacks. So let's just keep the game out there then. How do you do that? Nullify the midfield. It sounds so simple, but I think a lot of teams that we were battering just didn't get that. Like Everton just let us do it. Newcastle let us do it. The only team that didn't let us do it was Man United, but then nobody picked up on that. So for me, if we're going to have a change of fortunes, it is frustrating, but we need to change it around. I know he doesn't like a back four, but if you're worried about the defending, just go flat back four. You know, if you really feel that you want to play Emerson Royal and you don't want to run the risk of Lucas Moura, I think Emerson Royal would be better in a flat back four, and you tell him you play right back and don't go forward. Now, if he does that, and like Ryan alluded to, Ben Davies plays on the other side and you've got Romero and Dyer, you can even get a better game out of Højbjerg, because then you drop him one into a holding midfielder where you say to him, I don't want you doing anything, just win the ball and give it to Bentancur or somebody else, right? But then you have another problem, because who plays further forward with Bentancur? Because the only other option we've got in there would have been Ollie Skip, but he's injured. So then you end up with Harry Winks, who then, you know, if we don't win any games, he's going to get on the end of it. But we just need to be playing a bit more. I don't know. It reacted in the last two games that we played against. It's like we played against Man City and Liverpool. You know what I mean? If we played against Man City and Liverpool, you'd still be disappointed you didn't have your shots. But then if you came out of them two games with a point, you probably think to yourself, well, that could happen. But we just played Brentford, who about 5 weeks ago, people were questioning whether they might get relegated. And Brighton are literally on the beach. Do you know what I mean? Not only are they put their feet up, they're actually on a beach.
I mean, in a way, when you look at form recently, the point at Brentford isn't the worst point in the world given the way they've been playing recently. But it's the Brighton game that's the one that's kind of undone all the good work up to that, isn't it? Because if you'd won that Brighton game and then go to Brentford and just get a point, you go, well, okay, we're away from home against a tricky side who are in form at the moment, and we've come away with a point. But that Brentford result has kind of really set the cat amongst the pigeons now and set the panic mode in, isn't it?
That's it. And, you know, that's what I was alluding to on the socials, because granted, you know, the following week when Chelsea literally let Arsenal win that game, in my mind, I kept saying to every Spurs fan that was saying Chelsea, 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 if we'd won against Brighton, it wouldn't matter if Arsenal beat them 7-0. We'd still be ahead of them by goal difference, and we'd be having our feet up regardless of that result. And the likelihood is Arsenal wouldn't have gained as much confidence going into Stamford Bridge. Chelsea might have been a little bit lackluster, but I still think Arsenal would have dropped points if we beat Brighton. But because we didn't, it allowed them to get in. They've obviously got the result at Stamford Bridge, and then it's allowed them to get the momentum because they know in that game against United, if they win that, then the pressure's on us, and it happened so quickly, just the same way it did when everything was reversed. So I still like Pat said, I'm not going to get to the point where I panic. The only time I panic is if we go into the next game and it's clear that Conte just keeps doing the same thing, and somehow, in the first half we still haven't had a shot, because I think it's a simple thing. We just need to get more numbers up there. If we got to the point where you said you put Harry Kane, let's say you want to keep Harry Kane in at number 10 because he's our best creator, but then you put Son straight up front, you put Lucas Moura coming in off one side, and then you have Bergwijn off the other side, then at least you've got 3 other players that can go and score goals with Harry Kane. And then, if we get a goal from a set piece, that's fine. But currently, it's just Conte seems to play the same 3. And then not only does he play the same 3, when 2 of them aren't playing well, he just does like for like instead of keeping them all on. So I don't think he chucks the kitchen sink at it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, let's go to now top 4 and how we're feeling. And let's obviously talk about that Arsenal-Chelsea game, because I don't know about you guys, but dear me, I actually felt I was watching a conspiracy theory live in action that night. I mean, I said to someone, I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years you find out this all comes to light and it's a bit like, yeah, well, Sky wanted to build up that North London derby as the big top 4. Listen, Chelsea, do us a favour. We need you to kind of do us one here and let Arsenal win. So this takes this top 4 and makes this North London derby game huge. Patrick, that game was just, Chelsea, it was almost like Chelsea scoring for Arsenal, wasn't it? You get the manner of the 3 goals. You get Aspilicueta saying, well, listen, the ball's nowhere near you, Saka, but I'll give you a cuddle and bring you to the floor so there's a penalty. It was just horrendous to watch, wasn't it? And although you shouldn't be relying on other teams to do, if you like, favours in the sense that, we shouldn't have been pinning all our hopes on Chelsea winning that game, it was hard to look past the fact that something didn't seem right watching that game with Chelsea's performance.
When I saw the lineup, I knew that it was done and dusted, and I called it. If you go back to my tweets, as soon as I saw that lineup, I said, this game's done. It's like they threw the game purposely. It was just atrocious. And I've never seen, don't get me wrong, Chelsea on their day can be crap, but usually they are a good team, especially at Stamford Bridge. When you're seeing defenders pass the ball in the line of the striker, so he assisted Eddie Nketiah, who is a crap striker. Let's have it right. The guy scored 2 goals and has looked good in his last 2 games, but he's a rubbish striker. He hadn't scored all season, and they made Eddie Nketiah look like a decent player. He assisted him for his first goal. Again, the lineup, the change and the complete overhaul or back, of the back line was dodgy in itself. Then Sarr, who on his day is a good player, because when he played against us in those 3 back-to-back games, he was decent and on job, but he was atrocious on that game and literally couldn't clear the ball. Assisted their player, Nketiah scored again, and then the penalty, which was quite soft anyway. But why have you got your arms around Saka in the box and grappling him when the ball's going way over him anyway? It made no sense. So you look at it, Chelsea literally gifted them 3 goals. I just don't understand this. It just doesn't make sense, because I know you can have a bad day, but I've never seen a team in a London derby fold and collapse like that at home. So something doesn't seem right there. But again, I expected, if I'm being honest, I expected Arsenal to beat Man United at home. I did expect that.
Yeah.
The Man United don't have a great record at the Emirates, and obviously with Arsenal going for it and Man United not really having anything to lose or prove, I didn't really expect it to go any other way. But saying that, Man United had a lot of chances. They probably were a better team on the day as well, which sounds weird. If they scored that penalty, I believe Man United would have won the game, because they was in the ascendancy up until that miss. But if you go back to the Chelsea game, going to Stamford Bridge and beating the Chelsea team 4-2 will give you all the world of confidence. And that was the catalyst, because I expected Arsenal to drop points against Chelsea, and then whatever happens at Man United, what happens. But when I saw that happen, I was like, fuck, we're actually in trouble now. We need to win our game, because that was a major turning point. And it's something that, if we're being real, no one expected. The game in hand was Chelsea, and pretty much everyone wrote it off, saying they're going to and they didn't. So fair play to them. I mean, they picked up 6 points out of the games you would never expect them to pick 6 points up, and then they drop points in the games you'd expect. So the thing is, I know a lot of people are losing it and thinking that it's done and dusted. It really isn't, because this Arsenal team, if we're being honest, they're just as inconsistent and as crap as anyone else on their day. They will have wobbles again. They're not going to go on a scoring spree of 3 goals and 4 goals, because if you look at the form, they haven't been doing that all season. So I expect them to. They got some tough fixtures in there as well. No games are gimmies, and just hopefully we've gone through our bad patch. We can now obviously turn a new leaf as well.
Yeah, Ryan. I mean, obviously, the last time Chelsea had nothing to play for and they met a North London side, they kind of took it as though it was their Champions League final the year they wanted to stop us at Stamford Bridge. Was you amazed watching that game? And what did that result make you feel around the top 4 chances now, given our results as well?
I didn't expect them to play that bad. I didn't see Chelsea play that bad. I hadn't seen them play that bad for years. And like Pat's just said, the 3 games they played against us back to back, they looked like they was the best team in the league. They absolutely ran us off the pitch 3 separate occasions. I never expected, but like I say, I don't know why he changed his side like he did. I don't understand it. I know Rudiger was out injured. I don't know why Thiago Silva weren't involved. I did not get why he rested so many players at once, but hey, it happened. We can't do anything about it. We've still got to concentrate on ourselves. But no, the top 4, like I say, I think it's still in our hands. We've still got to play them at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We've not got a great record. It'll be in front of a bouncing bunch of Tottenham fans. So it's still in our hands. This top 4 race is still. I still put us down as favourites for that, with them having to come to our stadium. But like I say, I'm not worried about Arsenal now for the rest of the season. I'm just going to support the lads, concentrate on our lot. And if we do our job, Carl, then there shouldn't be anything stopping us from getting that top 4 anyway.
Yeah, Jacob, obviously, how are you feeling about top 4 now, given the recent results and the recent performances? Of those 2 last performances setting some worry for you around us, and now we'll finish the season. There will be some twists and turns. I agree with Patrick. I can't see Arsenal are not going to go unbeaten now to the end of the season. I think they'll slip up again, but then at the same time, I think we'll slip up again. Where do you stand now with top 4? Obviously, was confident a couple of games ago. Have you massively changed, or are you still feeling confident that we'll nick that?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not as confident as I was a couple of weeks ago, obviously, because we were smashing everybody to pieces. But I think we just got to do what Arsenal did, because I think if you look at our fixtures now, not only Spurs fans, but I think if you're an Arsenal fan or a neutral fan, you're looking at Spurs for the next 3 fixtures and thinking, well, they're the games where they're going to slip up, if we haven't already slipped up already, because we've got Leicester, who on their day are a decent side, and they've got Vardy back. I know they've got a Conference League game, but there's some teams out there that just don't bottle it after you. If they've had a good game in Europe and they've pretty much got 1 foot in the final, they're not going to come to Tottenham and be leggy. They're going to be bouncing. And then after that, it's obviously the trip to Anfield and then the North London derby in the space of, 10 days or something? So for me, I was having a discussion with my cousin over the weekend after we drew Brentford. I was like, if we come out of them games with 7 points, then we've got top 4. Because I think the last 2 games we've got is Burnley at home, who could either be safe or relegated, and then Norwich are already down, aren't they? So I think ideally you need to get 9 out of there, but we all know that
the confidence of going away to Norwich.
It's just one of the ones we should go to Norwich and Burnley and win, but somehow, being Tottenham, we'll end up beating Leicester, beating Liverpool, beating Arsenal, and losing the last 2. So, do you know what I mean? It's just, we've got to buck our ideas up quick. So I know it's only 5 games, but then quite quickly, like I said, those next 3 fixtures are over a course of 10 days. So you'll find that we play Leicester, then we play Liverpool. And, the likelihood is if we lose to Liverpool, just when you're thinking, oh man, that was horrible, 3 days is the biggest game, not just of our season and Arsenal's, but it's probably the biggest game in the league in terms of what everyone's going to do. I bet everybody can't wait to come back from work on the Wednesday or Thursday night, wherever it is, and watch that game. I'm not being biased, but the North London derby, in terms of a spectacle, is the best game in the Premier League. No one can tell me anything different. Man City and Liverpool could probably tell me something, because the game they had not long ago was brilliant. But in this game, it's just fireworks, isn't it? But
well,
I
this
think
one will have some spice as well, because it'll be the first time Arsenal fans will have been in our stadium for a North London derby as well, won't it? So that
that's
will
it, yeah.
also add some extra spice as well.
You know, someone's getting sent off though. That's it. You're just one of those games where I'm just going to sit there, and it's either going to be in our favour, or it's either going to be a Shaq or a Ramiro, or they'll probably knock each other out in that. Do you know what I mean? Just one of those. It's just it's going to be a good game. I've booked the day off after, mate. So
Jacob's ready for a party.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So let's look at Leicester next then, as our next game coming up. Now, obviously, recently their last 5 games have drawn 3, won 1, lost 1, scored 5, conceded 5. They've got this massive Europa Conference League semi-final coming up Thursday, which obviously could help us in the fact that potentially now they are going to stick all their eggs in that Conference League basket for them, because they're not going to really improve massively in the league. How are you feeling, Patrick? Confident about this one? Do you see this as being a good opportunity for us to kind of get back on track?
Yeah, I feel, funny enough, when we did the predictions, Leicester game was the game that I predicted we would drop points. I predicted we'd win all the other games. Said we would drop points against Leicester, said we would lose to Liverpool, and we'd pretty much win all the other games. But looking at it now, considering where Leicester are, I hadn't factored in that they could be in the semis. They're in the semi-finals against Roma, who are, they've got pedigree, a European team, one of the best teams in Italy. Jose Mourinho is their manager. Without being too presumptuous and big-headed, this Tottenham game doesn't mean much to them anymore. Like Jacob's saying, they're not really, it's not like they're going for top 4 or top 6 and they need the points. They don't really. They have to go all out for the Conference League. It's another trophy for them, and obviously a chance to finish in Europe next season, which they're not going to get through the league. So they will make major changes. Their 2 games against Roma, obviously this week and next week, are way more important than the Tottenham fixture away from home. It's not like they're playing in front of their stadium where you're going to again have to put on a bit of a performance. They're away. So I think they're not going to throw the game, obviously. Whoever comes in will be up for it and want to show that why they should be in the first team. But realistically, we should be too strong for them. They're going to have one eye on the next semi-finals, resting players, and I think we should be more than okay to actually smash them. So I feel confident about this game. We need to as well. There's no excuses now. You either turn up or forget it. I saw Kane. Well, there's a quote saying Kane said, "If we win all our games and we make top 4," which is true because we obviously take points off Arsenal as well. But we have to remember that we go away to Anfield. But maybe the guys need that. Just stop this, because I think there's a hoodoo with the fans and the players. We're all talking like it's already a loss. Yeah, of course they're better than us, but we shouldn't have that mentality. Go there, do our job, and see what happens.
Well, we didn't give ourselves a chance at Man City, did we?
Exactly,
we all went to Man City thinking, well, this is going to be a case of how many today, and we put that sort of performance in.
I think the fans and the players have got to believe that we can get something out of that game, because that is essentially a free hit without being, I hate the word free hit, but it is because no one expects it. But the players and Conte should expect us to get something out of that.
Yeah, Ryan, how are you feeling about this Leicester game? Are you in agreement that for them, that semi-final and those 2 games now outweigh anything else, and that yes, they're not going to come and just lay down, but essentially we should have too much and be too strong for them, given what they'll have done Thursday night?
As usual, Carl, Patrick has said it perfectly. He never misses
guy.
That's their aim now. That's their only way into Europe next season, is winning this Conference League. They're not going to get the league position for it. They get a good result against Roma on Thursday. You imagine 7 or 8 of those players coming out ready for the week after. They're not going to throw everything at us because, like I say, it's not important to them. Some players who will come in obviously will try and prove that they should start that Thursday game, which is something you got to look out for. They'll all try and prove a point, but like I say, we just need to kick up the arse to our lads. And this game, we've got a good record against Leicester. Kane's got a good record against Leicester. We like playing Leicester, and hopefully this game will send us into the game at Anfield bouncing and full of confidence. And like Pat said, we shouldn't care it's Liverpool. Yes, they're a great team with some exceptional players, but we've got some great, we've got an exceptional striker, and we've got couple of world class players in that side as well. We shouldn't go to Anfield worrying about what Liverpool are going to do to us. We should make them fear what we could do to them at the same time. We've done it before, like you say. We didn't go into the City game with any confidence. And then we came back on this Monday show and we were all absolutely bouncing because we just beaten Man City.
And outplayed them, not just beaten them.
Yeah,
we outplayed them that day.
You know what, Ryan? Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's great that Liverpool have so much on the line as well, because it's going to make them edgy. They have some, like when two teams, both teams are going to be scared to make a mistake, and I think that will go in our favor. If we unnerve their crowd and they get edgy, that will seep into the stadium. So I think people aren't realizing or not counting to the fact that Liverpool haven't been great in the last couple of games. Everton held them out for a long time. Should have had a penalty, should have had some decisions. We obviously have way more quality than Everton. And the fact that they've got so much on the line, they're going to be edgy and nervous just like we are. So we just need to take the game to them and then see what happens.
That Liverpool game doesn't actually worry me as much as the others, because I think we're confident in that fact. Liverpool won't change how they play to nullify us. They'll just say, listen, this is how we play and we're confident we're going to do this. They won't be worrying about marking Kane out of the game. They won't be worrying about that, as we've seen in previous games against them. So we'll have more license to play the way we want to play in that game than any of these other games. I mean, Jacob, you kind of mentioned earlier there that you were a bit fearful of this game because you don't think Leicester will come into it leggy. Are you honestly worried about this one and think Leicester could come and do a job?
I don't know, because it's one of those. It just depends how Brendan Rodgers sets them up. Fair enough, they might have some players that they're going to rest and stuff, but if they were just to sit there and say, right, let's just do a job on Spurs and gain some confidence going into the Roma game, and we haven't been shooting on target, then it's all about the formation for me. If it gets to the point where they just play the same way as they've been playing every week with Conte, and Leicester go and play three defensive midfielders in there, then as long as them three defensive midfielders do their job, then we ain't going to get any shots on target. And the fullbacks aren't going to change. We've all been crying out for Lucas Moura to go out there. It won't happen. The formation won't change. You hope so, because, I hope that on that Sunday I wake up and see a formation change and we win, because then, we'll be bouncing. And the next thing, it goes into West Ham versus Arsenal, doesn't it? Straight after that. So I don't know. I think it's probably me being a Spurs fan, not looking at everything else, is because we've been doing this since I was 6. Do you know what I mean? We've always got it wrong. Do you know what I mean? I'm 37 now, and it's like if something's been happening for 30 years, whenever you just say to yourself, from a little kid to a grown man, Tottenham, please, just not today. That's when they do it. So, you looked at Brighton, thought we win that, but then I found myself laughing at the TV because I'm so used to it. And then Brentford, I was a bit more calmer, like you said, because I thought Brentford, if we go there and get a draw, they've actually been playing really well. And then with the Eriksen factor, I thought just get out of there without losing. So it's just one of those. It all depends on the Roma result. If Roma, because what we're all not thinking about is, imagine if Roma spanked Leicester 4-0. Why are they going to rest people to go into the next game and win 5-0? They're going to get to the point where they might be out of the competition. So if they're out of the competition, they're going to want to.
Would you not think there's the potential, though, that a spanking in that game just defeats their whole season? And then a heavy defeat there would just be season ended, season over. That's a real momentum drainer for those. I think for us, it works either way. If they get a result, I can't see them coming to us to be bothered. If they was to get badly beaten, where you go, well, that's that tie over. I think for them, that's it, season done. We now are effectively on the beach, because that's the momentum gone completely.
I think if you think about Tottenham versus Newcastle, last game of the season, a couple of years ago, when we were obviously after the Battle of the Bridge and we knew we had lost the league, we got spanked 5-1 at home to Newcastle because the players were just like, what is the point? So I think you're right, Carl. Regardless of the result, if Leicester gets spanked, their season's over. They're just like, forget this. And I think they're going to turn up as ghosts and we just kill them. So, and even if they win that game or it's tight, Rodgers has to rest players. He has to. So I think we've got them at the perfect time. But then saying that Arsenal have got West Ham at the perfect time is exactly
Well,
the
that's
same.
right. Yeah, exactly. I
That's
mean,
what I was about to say. Yeah.
they're all
So
in for the Europa League, aren't they? And the fact,
it's so crazy how things have just aligned. It's like this North London derby is meant to be the North London derby. It's just nuts how things just are so aligned. It's crazy.
It's like someone would think Sky have had an influence on VAR and what could happen here.
And holding off this game, and holding it off and then announcing it when they did. Hey, like, you couldn't write it, or could you?
So I'll throw one out there to all of you guys, because like as we've said earlier with the whole Royal and what we do, you can't see Conte doing something completely out there. So he's not going to change both wing backs, that's for sure. But where do you guys stand? Would you want to see Mora come in for Royal? What changes would you make in that position to try and get something better than what we've got there? I'll throw that out there to all of you. Anyone wants to go for it?
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to see Mora come in for Royal against Leicester at home. What have we got to lose at Leicester at home? If it doesn't work, you change it. But give it a try. We're at home. It should be a week in Leicester. They're going to be tired and leggy. Had a whole week to work on things. Give him a go. See how it goes. If it doesn't work, you change it back. But at least we know we tried, and then we can go into the other games with a bit more confidence.
Jacob, Ryan, go on, Ryan. Are you feeling?
I think he'll change both fullbacks, to be honest.
You do, yeah?
I think he'll push Davis out to left wing back, and I think he'll bring Davinson in for Reguilon. And I think he'll bring Mora in, and I think he'll push Kulusevski down at right wing back. Have Lucas further forward. I think he's, like I said, I think he's fed up. Beside Matt Doherty, no one would have predicted anyone would complain about a Matt Doherty injury at this stage of a season. But that injury's hit us a lot harder than we would have imagined this time last year. But he's got to do something different. I'll be quite annoyed if he keeps it as Emerson, Reguilon, or I say Sessegnon is not. Sessegnon, I don't think will ever become the player we want him to unless he's consistent with his game time, because he'll play 3 games, miss 3 months, come back for a couple of games, miss. So right now, I don't think he's the player to start. So I do think he will go with Davis at left wing back. He brought, obviously, I think it was that's the way he went when he brought Sanchez on last weekend. Was it against Brentford where he pushed Davis out?
Yeah.
Do you think that was him? Do you think that was him thinking, right, next game, let me get a 20-minute taster of how this works.
Yeah.
Ready for next week.
Yeah, I do. And I think he will use it as well. Like I say, Kulusevski, when he brought him, he did say he could play right wing, he could play right wing back. I think he'll push Kulusevski back, get Lucas Moura back on, and like I say, you've got to try something because it's not worked. So what else have we got to lose?
Do you see, I mean, Jacob, do you see Kulusevski being able to do that job? Because I have to admit, given obviously his lack of pace, I can't see Kulusevski being as effective in that right wing back position, if I'm honest. Yes, when we say the guy can play that position, most pros should be able to play most positions, really. Do you think Kulusevski could be effective in that right wing back position?
No, I remember when Conte said it was obviously Conte knows more about football than me, but I was like, have you had a few too many Italian wines or something? Because I thought this geezer, I've watched him a few times for Juventus. There's times where you're watching Juventus on a Sunday evening on BT Sport, whatever, and every time he's been brought on, he's either played number 10 or on the right wing. That's all I've seen whenever I've watched Juventus. And then I don't think I've ever seen a fullback at top level football play on the opposite side. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I've seen it with right footers, you know what I mean? Because I think predominantly in the game there's right footers. But me being left footed, if someone told me to go and play right wing back, I'd be like, are you nuts? Because it's like, it doesn't make sense. If you're left footed predominantly, going to the right back position doesn't work. Right wing is different because you're trying to, cut inside to create opportunities and score goals. But then imagine if we're under the cosh against any team. You're relying on a left-footed right back to defend when realistically he's not even a defensive player. He'll do what Lucas Moura does and work back, but I'd never want to see that. Like effectively, if Conte asked me what I wanted, I'll just say, right, if you want to go and attack Leicester because of the reasons that you guys have mentioned, play a 4-2-3-1, and then say Bentancur and Højbjerg, you guys sit and don't go nowhere. Back four, stay flat, and then you just leave the other four to be fluid and go and win us the game. So if Harry Kane's got to start in number 10, Kulusevski on the right, Son up front, and say Moira on the left, you can start them like that. And if it's not working, tell them all to rotate, because Kulusevski's capable of going into a number 10. Harry Kane's obviously capable of going up front. You stick Son on the left and stick Moira on the right. Just tell him to keep rotating, and just as long as the back four is solid and the two defensive midfielders are covering the space, just tell them four to go and win the game, because we know the other seven ain't going to do it. Lloris isn't going to win us the game, nor are our wing backs, nor our centre halves or our centre midfielders. But them four on the pitch together, if you don't get a shot at a target on there, then Conte's got to take the L, because it's something that you're doing in training. If you have got them four on the pitch and you can't have a shot on target, you should be having, if you ask me, them four on the pitch, you should be at least having a shot on target against Real Madrid and Man City, let alone Brentford and Brighton.
I have to disagree, Jacob. I hate to disagree with you. You know that I don't like.
You never do, man. You never do. This is bad, man.
But
you've got another hour, boys.
Here we go.
I think Kulu at right wing back it would be 10. We're not missing anything defensively because Emerson can't defend. So Ramiro is going to have the same job with Kulusevski. And the amount of space our wing backs get in some games, Emerson, his crossing's not great. He likes to turn back. I think if you get Kulusevski in that much space with time to deliver, we've seen him deliver with his right. We've seen him cut back and deliver with his left. He's going to be a lot more effective than what Emerson is. And you've still got Lucas Moura in front of him, who will also track back and get forward. I love Jacob's 4-2-3-1. Jacob, I apologise for jumping in on you.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. You ain't got to apologise, mate.
Don't go missing on my Friday show, Jacob. I wouldn't want that.
Is it that deep between you two?
That was the plan, you know. But then you've got to say it, so I can't do it now.
I think given Conte, he's not going to revert away from that 3-5-2, is he? You know, I think what we're probably looking at is more of what Ryan said there, with maybe Ben Davies being pushed out to that wide position, Sanchez coming into the middle. I just get the impression he'll probably play Royal again. I just think, though, this could be a game where it won't matter so much in this game, because I think at home, with everything the way it's going, Leicester just won't be there, and we'll get away with it this week. But so let's go for some predictions then. So Patrick, score predictions for this game.
Oh man, it's so tough at the moment. I'm gonna probably say 3-1. Yeah, 3-1. I was gonna say 3-0, but 3-1.
3-1. Confident, Ryan.
I'll go 5-1 in this one.
Oh wow!
Boy,
putting the goals back on the scoreboard. Yeah,
he's been eating that Play-Doh behind him.
No statistic. There isn't a statistic that suits Tottenham better than being the top goal scorers in 2022 to then no shots on target to then just getting 3, 4, 5 goals.
Yeah, let's hope so.
That's Tottenham. And a Harry Kane hat-trick as well. I'm going to put him down.
Look at that.
Need that.
Get down to the bookies. Put a pound on that, Ryan. Jacob, what are you going with?
I'm going with a shady 2-0. It's going to be a tense one, but I think. Well, I don't know how the game's going to go because I can't predict the future, but I just think that it's going to be cagey because the fans are going to get on the players' backs if they haven't had a shot on target early. But I think Conte at some point, whether it be this game or a point in the future, just going to have enough and give the fans what they want, which is a few more attackers on the pitch. And I think it would be this game where it could be 0-0 at half time, and he decides, right, I'm just going to stick the 4 up front to win the game, and that's effectively what's going to do it. So I'm going to go over 2-0.
I am going to go confident. I'm going to go over 4-0 because I think this is a game that, like I say, I don't think Leicester are coming. I think, whatever happens in this game this week, I think, as we said, a win or a tight result, all they're worried about is Europa. Yeah. A massive defeat, and I think, they just turn up as ghosts in bodies who are looking to get the season over. So I think this one will get some goals on board, and 4-0 for me. So that leads us to the end of our show tonight. So it just leaves me to thank the guests for coming on. So Patrick, as always, mate, pleasure having you on. And hopefully we'll be back Monday talking about another win.
Yeah, we will touch wood. Yeah, this is the game where we get our season back on track, so to speak. And I'm sure, like you guys think, there'll be lots of goals. We've all gone big. I've said 3. Everyone else said more than that. So yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Perfect. And Ryan, again, another sterling effort, and you'll be back Monday, hopefully.
Yes, I will not miss another Monday this season. Like I say, me and Jacob need to be. And like I said, we want to come back next season every Monday and preview Champions League games. That's what we want. We want to talk about these big European games. So fingers crossed the boys get the job done. Let's get it going and finish the season strong.
Perfect. And Jacob, another sterling performance, mate. And you'll be back Monday as well, hopefully.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully it's a nice bank holiday. Everyone has a nice bank holiday weekend, and Tottenham don't ruin it for us all, you know. Because if they do, then come bank holiday Monday, you might see my eyes a little bit wonky. You know what I mean?
I love the confidence in Spurs fan. No shots on target in 2 games. We've all gone massively big for wins, and we're all pumped, ready for Monday, all this weekend's performance. So that just leaves us to say, appreciate everyone watching. Your audio will be with you tomorrow morning. And as always, come on, you Spurs.